I'm here with Sharon Livermore, who is a Conveyancing Executive for Kerseys Solicitors. Sharon has worked in the conveyancing industry for over 30 years, and I think it is fair to say, Sharon, that every conveyancer, estate agent and mortgage broker has been run ragged over the last 18 months. At the beginning of the pandemic, most people felt things would slow down in conveyancing, so much so that they took advantage of the furlough scheme. But the stamp duty holiday kicked in and the market boomed. Local authorities could not turn the searches around quick enough, and mortgage offers were taking longer than expected, which trebled the length of the time a normal transaction would take. And at times, I expect everybody in the industry was experiencing issues with trying to meet deadlines and doing the best they could for their clients, and we all became very demanding of each other. So Sharon, can you help us all by explaining what the stages are to a conveyancing transaction and how we can all work together in the future to help each other?
So there are several stages to a conveyancing transaction. On a purchase, we would receive the draft contract, title information and various information forms which have been completed by the sellers from the seller solicitors. Once these have been received, we would go through them to see what inquiries we may need to raise on the paperwork that's been received. These inquiries could range from clarification on information received within these forms, or it could be requesting documents that we need but which were not initially provided to us. We would also carry out the usual conveyancing searches at this stage. These searches include a local authority search, a water and drainage search, a home buyer's report, which provides information regarding environmental issues and planning information. So once we've received all of the searches, all of the information that we have requested, and our copy of the client's mortgage offer if the client requires a mortgage, and we are happy with everything that we have got, we will then be in a position to provide a detailed report on the purchase and all of the documents that we've received to the clients with the contract and all other documents which they need to sign, which will put us in a position to be able to progress towards an exchange of contracts. So on a sale transaction, it's slightly different. In this instance, we would prepare and provide to the buyer's solicitors a draft contract, copies of the title documentation and copies of all of the forms that have been completed and signed by the sellers. The buyer's solicitors would then need to go through that documentation provided to them and would inevitably raise inquiries on that paperwork. Some of those inquiries we may need to deal with ourselves, others we would have to refer back to the sellers for them to answer. Once the buyer's solicitors have received all of the documentation from ourselves and they are happy with that, and they also have their client's copy of their mortgage offer and all of the searches that they require, they would then be in a position to progress to an exchange of contracts and they would notify us accordingly. Throughout the transaction, we will try and work hand in hand with both the estate agents and the mortgage brokers. We will also provide updates to them as required and when requested. So once you've accepted an offer on your property or you have had an offer accepted on a property that you want to buy, the estate agents will issue something called a memorandum of sale. That will provide details of each side of the transaction and their respective solicitors, and then that will enable us obviously to progress the matter further. So typically estate agents will deal with any negotiations between the parties. They will hand over the keys on the day of legal completion and they will communicate with both the buyer and the seller throughout the transaction. There will be some estate agents who can also help you organise a survey if you want to do a survey that's independent of the valuation that your mortgage lenders will automatically carry out. So obviously if the estate agents and the solicitors can liaise with each other throughout the transaction, then lines of communication can be kept open and the estate agents can help advise clients as to the position of the chain and also any potential dates, timescales that might be required by parties within the chain. There might be times when, as a client, you may not have heard from us for a short time. It doesn't mean that we're just sitting on the file and nothing is happening. It's just that we will be dealing with the conveyancing process behind the scenes and that we may have nothing new to report to you. Or we may be waiting for information or documentation to come in before we can progress further. However, if there is anything important that you do need to be made aware of, obviously we will notify you of this. So conveyancers as a whole are still very busy at the moment, as although the current stamp duty holiday that did come to an end on the 30th of June, there is still a stamp duty holiday for properties up to £250,000, which is there until the 30th of September 2021. The stamp duty threshold will go back to the normal rate of £125,000 on the 1st of October this year, but first-time buyers will still benefit from paying no stamp duty on properties that total no more than £300,000.